As Holly said, my name is Kendall Stoner. I'm a Special Agent Forensic Scientist Supervisor here at TBI. I'm the supervisor of the CODIS unit here in Nashville. And then I'm also the CODIS State Administrator. So I'll explain what all that means. First of all, I want to see how many of you, if you're a true crime person or, I love true crime. Have you heard of CODIS?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So CODIS, probably a lot of you, if not through true crime, probably maybe contacting us in the lab. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what CODIS is and kind of how it plays in here, because in forensic services, we're pretty much an island. We just kind of do our processing of evidence. We don't really get to interact with criminal records or anything, but CODIS is one of those units. And now we're finding other units actually need to interact with you guys and really need stuff from you guys. You're very important to what we do and kind of the records we keep, and also, complying with state law. So I want to talk a little bit about the lab structure at TBI. So we've got, we have all these divisions. I'm sure you've heard of everybody's division. So we are forensic services. So we have labs that are in Nashville, Knoxville, and Jackson. We used to be in Memphis. We are now in Jackson. And we have different units. At each lab, we have a standard set of units, but here in Nashville, we've got toxicology, drug chemistry, latent prints, firearms, forensic biology, breath, alcohol, microanalysis, CODIS, and evidence receiving. So those are all of the things that we do here for the state. So the Metro Nashville PD has their own lab that processes Metro Nashville Police Department's evidence. But any other evidence in any other criminal case is coming straight to TBI. There are no other labs. There are private labs that do things, but we're pretty much all there is. So, and we process different for all over the state. So West Tennessee is mainly processed in Jackson, Middle Tennessee, Nashville, and then East Tennessee and Knoxville. Like I said, we perform testing on evidence that's in criminal cases. I'm sure there's some other, we don't really get involved in civil cases, but most of our stuff is for criminal cases. And that could range, I've worked cases for vandalism all the way up to a criminal homicide. So it's all kinds of cases. We get a lot of DUIs, homicides, sexual assaults are mainly in forensic biology. We see a lot of those. So it's pretty much every crime. I've been to court on robberies, which is crazy, but I've been to court to testify DNA on robbery. So it's great. And then, like I said, we are expert witnesses. So we're considered experts in our fields, and we go in there and we can offer opinions about the science that we do. So what is CODIS? So CODIS stands for, it's not Convicted Offender DNA Index System, like some of us like to say. It feels like it should be that. I agree. I'm with you. It stands for Combined DNA Index System. And what those combinations are is it's a combination of DNA from different sources. So we've got DNA from people who are arrested for certain crimes, people who are convicted of felonies in the state of Tennessee. We've got casework, so any sort of biological evidence, DNA that is processed in a case will go into CODIS. We've got unidentified human remains, so bones, tissue, anything. There was a heart that was found in like a salt thing, I don't know. But that is the kind of stuff that can also go in there as an unidentified human remain. Missing person, so if you have a family member that's missing, we can take a toothbrush, we can take hairbrushes, razors, that sort of thing, and put them in as missing persons. And then if you are also missing a family member or something, you can put your DNA in there as well. So and there's even more. There's a ton of different profiles in CODIS, but these are the ones that we're most concerned about, and probably what you guys are dealing with as court clerks and working in the court system is you're dealing the most with criminal entities like this. I want to talk a little about the CODIS structure, just because we are governed by a bigger organization known as the FBI. The FBI is kind of our overlords in this. So they're the ones that set all the rules and restrictions. We have our own state law for CODIS, but the FBI is pretty strict on what we can have in there. So CODIS, we know the Combined DNA Index System. So INDIS is the National DNA Index System. So I can tell you there is a CODIS in Tennessee and all of the 50 states, Puerto Rico, the ATF, FBI, the U.S. Army. Am I missing one? No, I've got everybody. And then there are currently 11 plus million profiles in all of CODIS. So when we upload ours from the Estes up to Indus, when we push our profiles here in Nashville up to the FBI, we are searching against 11 plus million profiles. So that's a lot. And we're searching every state. And I can tell you right now, we're getting a lot of hits from all these dang Californians that are moving over here. So we're getting a lot more hits from California. I'm serious. We were just talking about it. My people are here in the back, but we were just talking about how many more California hits we're getting. But we mainly get hits from, as you think, somewhere like Chattanooga, Memphis. They're touching other states. So we're talking to Arkansas a lot, Mississippi, Georgia, Kentucky, basically Alabama, everybody that's around us. We have a lot of connections with them. So like I said, we are here at the Estes. So Nashville, I'm the supervisor I'm the state CODIS administrator. So that means every profile that's put into CODIS here, I'm responsible for, and it keeps me up at night. It makes me sweat. But that's why I'm here talking to you guys, because you're so important to me. I think you guys are kind of the linchpin when it comes to a lot of the things that we do. Like I said, it's located here in Nashville, and we search all the samples here in Tennessee before we push them up to the FBI, because they do not like when they get hits from Tennessee to Tennessee at their level. They like looking at it, they want us to figure it out. And then there's the local DNA index system. And I'm sure you've heard of local DNA databases. If you've heard anything in the news about police departments having their own DNA index system or DNA database. In Knoxville and Jackson, and in casework in Nashville, we have our own local DNA databases. And they just exist there. Here in Tennessee, we're very lucky because a majority of our CODIS labs are TBI based, but in places like Texas, California, you've got the Texas Department of Safety, you have Austin PD, you have Dallas PD, you have Houston PD, you have Houston, so you have all these independent agencies that are feeding into one CODIS. And so that's why having a local system for them is really good. For us, it doesn't make a difference, but for them, it makes a huge difference. So basically the level is they put it in at the local, it gets pushed up to me, I search it, and then I push it up to the FBI, and the FBI just flings it to whatever state, just all around the country. And we get hits from California. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, what does CODIS have to do with you guys? So our CODIS law, it was developed in the early 90s. It really hasn't changed all that much, which is kind of frustrating. You guys know when laws just stay there and they don't change, and then it makes it really frustrating for you as technology changes. It does not change. So our CODIS law is 4035-321. And basically what it tells us is who we can collect, who collects it, and what should we do when it gets expunged, or when a charge gets dismissed or that charge is gone. So right now in Tennessee, anybody who is convicted of a felony on or after July 1st of 1998 has to have a DNA sample taken. I don't care if they have a zillion felonies already for DNA. You have to take, if they get another felony and they're going through the system again, you got to take another DNA sample. So that's frustration number one, is we got a bunch of DNA samples. And people get very frustrated. They're like, why do I take another one? I'm like, it's because the law says it. We're both pulling our hair out. So anybody in the SOR, anybody that's put on the sex offender registry, and fun fact, CODIS, FBI, when FBI wanted to start CODIS in the early 90s, they said, let's start with sex offender registry. Those people we can track and we can figure out where they are. They're heavily monitored. So we started off with the sex offender registry. So here in Tennessee, whether they have a felony or a misdemeanor, if they are on the sex offender registry, we got to have that sample. And then in 2008, Jonna Berry, I don't know if anybody in East Tennessee has heard of Jonna Berry, but her mom is Great Joan Berry. She actually pushed through our arrestee law. So anybody that is arrested on or after January 1st, 2008 for certain violent felonies, and they're listed in our law. I forgot to put a list in here, but it's a bunch. They have to have DNA taken after they've seen a magistrate judge. It also gives us provisions for expungement. When do we get rid of samples? And I'll talk about what Tennessee is versus other states. When do we get rid of samples? And then it also has that list of felonies. Okay, so this is where you guys come in. So the law specifically states it puts the burden on clerks to notify us of the disposition of a case. And the actual language is, this is straight from the law, the clerk of the court in which the charges against a person described in subdivision E1 are disposed of shall notify the Bureau of final disposition of the criminal proceedings. So that's what it says for clerks. That's literally the only kind of language that's in there. So that's the guidance we have. The FBI considered us an automatic expungement state, which means that the person who has the charge does not need to come to me or call me and say, hey, Kendall, I need you to expunge this. I have to know, I have to be notified when I'm notified by you guys, by any court official, anybody, that a charge has been dismissed, acquitted, whatever. If that charge no longer exists, I have to get rid of it. They do not have to tell me. And that means, again, that means the offender arrestee does not have to apply to get their DNA expunged. It is done without their intervention. So I think we know where that's leading. So what do we need from you? This is something I will tell you. The last time I gave this presentation, it was at AOC. I got some amazing people that came up to me and we talked about this. We have seen such a, I don't know who's in charge now, whatever, but we have made so many friends with a lot of you guys, and we've talked to a lot of your offices and everything. And first of all, we really appreciate those of you that call asking questions. We are available literally all the time. There is no question that is dumb, because we ask dumb questions too. But what we need from you, what we're seeing a lot of, we need final judgments, any post-conviction expungement. So if somebody is appealed or something out of the ordinary where their charge gets dismissed, we've got to know about that. And then this can be in any form, but the following is required. So all of these things are required just because of the things I told you guys, that we are supposed to verify that, one, this arrest took place on or after January 1st of 2008, or the conviction took place on or after July 1st of 1998. Those are the things that we are beholden to. So we have to make sure that we are expunging the people that need to be expunged, because it's unfortunate, but there are cases where there are people who are serial rapists who may get charges thrown out because of their sample should have been expunged at one point and they were never expunged until a later point because we were not informed of that. And that is a burden that nobody wants. And that is a person that needs to be in jail for a very long time. Their DNA matched everything. Everything is perfect in that case, but this is why we need this information. So the first thing, how many of you do not use TBI? Okay. So that's actually a lot more than I thought. So this is a TBI report that we use. It is I see Mary. Thank you, Mary. It is the violent offender report. And this is basically what we get a lot of digitally, and we really like this. We absolutely love this. And I just want to say, the one thing that I see, the two things that we see that are missing that we really need on this, and I'll go to both of these and show you really quick. Those of you online, I will narrate what I'm saying after I point to them. A lot of times we are missing this arrest date. And then sometimes we have nothing in here. It just says expunged. There is no way that we can tell when somebody's stuff is expunged who these belong to. So that person may be in our database. We have no idea who it is because they've already been expunged. So those are the two issues we see. Same over here, what I was pointing to. A lot of times we do not see the arrest date. So we will call you 100%. Hey, we need this arrest date because we've got to verify that it was actually on or after January 1st, 2008. Sorry, July and January. I don't know why they did that, but January 1st. And then right here, a lot of times we'll see expunged. So there's no way for me to tell who that person is, where that information came from, that sort of thing. So online, what I was pointing to was the arrest date you can see in the middle column. A lot of times we don't have that. And then on the left-hand side under defendant name, a lot of times we'll have expunged, and there's no way to tell who that person is or what that charge is, that sort of thing. Another report we get from, I think mainly from Knox County, Knox and Monroe, which we love. There's nothing wrong with this. We have a final disposition report. This is something I think that we generated, we sent out. If this is easier for you guys, we can definitely give you this form that says everything that we need. It's got everything that we need. I think it's very easy to read. It's very easy to go through. That is something we will accept. And then a final judgment order. So we get a lot of these. This is probably what you guys see the most of, right? Yeah. So I will tell you the most important thing. Make sure that the outcome and the conviction, offense, and date are filled out. Please indicate if it's a misdemeanor or felony. I promise, listen, I know DNA. I've not been to law school. I've not ever been to the courts. I don't know what's a misdemeanor or felony. So it makes it easy for us if you go ahead and they mark misdemeanor or felony. And if they're guilty, pled guilty, it's dismissed, that noli, that sort of thing. Just make sure that's filled out. Also, their information. Can we get email? Okay, I'll come back to the comments. I guess somebody is monitoring the chat. Okay, perfect. And I'll answer this question. I just saw one pop up. And I'll answer questions at the end. I forgot to say that. I don't know what people are doing, but I'll do it at the end because my brain obviously is doing this, and I'll get I'm high on life right now. This is so exciting. I'm trying to keep it not too crazy. Again, this is my nap time. This is my nap time, okay? You guys are throwing me off. Okay, so how do I send in my dispositions? Who does not have email? Who does not have intranet email? Okay, this is great because we don't know sometimes, and we don't judge. Obviously, sometimes you get under administration that's like no email, no nothing. You guys are just all checking Facebook. It's like, no, I literally need the internet to do my job and process things and communicate with my customers. Like that's what I need. This is our email, tbi.codis@tbi.tn.gov. My assistant, Andrea, she's not my assistant, she's my assistant. She's back there in the back in the CODIS shirt, in the blue CODIS shirt. The other blue CODIS, she's shorter and the shorter. So you see the CODIS shirts back there. I wish they would stop. There you go. She's got a card, so if you guys want a business card to keep or whatever, we've definitely got them back there. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Email, we prefer email. And obviously you can email us with any questions, that sort of thing. I've got again, you can call us, email us, whatever. We will get back to you, we promise. Snail mail, if you just like mailing letters and you miss the days of putting a stamp, which I don't think you lick stamps anymore, which is bad we wish people had more licking stamps for DNA. That would be great for them. Stamps anymore. The best DNA you get is from a greeting card, because greeting cards do not have. The last greeting card I had, you still had to, you could lick it or put water on it. And then how often do I send? You're like, well, how often do you want to? Whatever works for you. A lot of people will typically pull that census report every month. But if you're somebody who has the final disposition report or final judgments, if you just want to chunk them all together and toss them our way. The big thing is, I think I've talked to the Drug Offender Registry and SOR. We are all looking for final judgments. We need all of them. So if you want to just chunk them all to us, we'll figure it out. Sorry, Andrea, but we'll figure it out. We'll be able to distribute them. And just include your contact info in case something is missing. You know, obviously we want everything. Obviously we wish everything would work when we press the button, and then sometimes it goes out and you're like, why didn't it populate this? Why didn't it populate the arrest date? I told it to. So that may be something if we need to contact you for arrest dates, or if you're like, hey, the DA is not giving me this information, I don't mind calling them. I have no fear when it comes to Here's our contact information. So I'm the supervisor. We are scientists. We are scientists. So we're learning. So I really appreciate having the opportunity to come here and to talk with some of you and for you guys to be willing to engage on the phone. We really appreciate it because there's a lot of things that you know that we don't know. And again, I don't think there are any stupid questions because I feel like I ask questions all the time. Andrea Parsons is one of my technicians. Some of you may have talked to her before. She's here in the back. And then Mark Goodnick, I'm sure you talked to him before, my Chicago ex-FBI agent. He is my other technician. He is not here right now. I think he's working, maybe. But Mark, so us three are probably the most knowledgeable when it comes to that. We've just transitioned our in-house science stuff to Jackson, so they're learning. So if you get somebody in Jackson and they have no idea what you're talking about, just come here to Nashville. And thank you. Like I said, I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you guys. I feel like with forensic services, we don't really get to do this. We do a lot of dog and pony shows showing off what we can do, but I think this is really important for us. And I will say our drug and tox unit is really reliant on dispositions just because we have a ton of evidence. And we are now looking at CCH to try to figure out if there are trying to figure out if there are cases that we can put to the side and maybe not work because they've been adjudicated so we can focus on other cases that are going to court. So that's also something that's really important is our drug and we're getting more of our forensic units that are becoming involved in the criminal records. Where they once were not interested, now they are interested. So I think it is slowly building. Okay, I will take questions. Anybody's got any questions?
A few questions.
Perfect.
A couple of them Andrew's already answered in here, but for everybody else, I'll just go ahead and ask.
Okay.
The first one is, can we email CODIS report and judgment orders to you by the 15th of each month? Andrea responded with yes, anytime it's fine with them.
Yep. Anytime.
Another question is, if we send a complete census report, is it necessary to send a copy of the actual judgment?
No, it is not for us, for CODIS services, it is not. Now, I cannot speak for SOR or the drug registry, but for us, no. We trust that that census report probably is going to have the same information that's on that judgment order. Just as long as it has those elements that I talked about, that's perfectly fine.
Email everyone final disposition report and violent offender report. I think Holly is sending out an email.
Okay.
Conference.
Yeah, so this presentation will be available. So if there's any, and I've got those examples here. If they want to go back and get an example of kind of what we're looking at, and we can actually send a copy of the final disposition report, like a fillable copy, to them. Because again, that's something I think that we generated back in the day. There's a lot of things. I became CODIS supervisor in 2017. Don't ask me about what happened before 2017. I have no idea. I do not remember. I have amnesia. So if that does work with people, that's fine. If there's stuff, we love feedback. So if you're like, this doesn't work, this is stupid, it needs to have this, it needs to be more concise, please tell us. It does not hurt my feelings. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I've had my feelings hurt at this job plenty of times. It will not hurt my feelings.
Another one is there a list of cases that are supposed to be reported to the district?
I do have a list. I can send out something, Holly, I guess. I can attach, if there's a way that we can attach, I can attach a list, the TCA codes for all of the charges that we do collect. If anybody would like that, it sounds like, yes, you guys do need that. That violent offender report in census, I believe it is pre-logged, or it's probably got a filter for all the charges that we do collect for. I think it was specifically, if anybody knows how that was created, but I think it specifically is filtering out those violent. Okay, perfect. It's specifically filtering that out. So that's why we love that report, because it does all the work for us. Okay, anything else?
So you said on that report, sometimes it says expunged.
Yes.
Are you wanting us to go figure out who that person is?
So that is a good question, because that's where I'm kind of ignorant. So that's where I say, like, I sometimes I don't know what's going on. at that point, when you're pulling that report, it's already explained. There's no way for you to go back and,
Well, if you use Flex Check, you technically,
yeah, so that may be something, if there's,
I don't know.
Can you be listed on the flex checks? Like when I do expungements, I send it to TBI, Sheriff's Department, Police Department.
do you guys get an expungement number when you put it in Flex Check? If you could just put that number in there, that makes it easy for us to go into Flex Check and look at it. Like I said, it's kind of interesting because we've tried that before, I think so.
Yeah, there's a spot where they could put your email address, but I think you told us to stop.
Yes, I think because we were getting like so much, and I think it was too much. But if you want to put the expungement number, like when you submit it, that would be great. That way we can go in and look it up. Yes, Andrea.
If the case number's on there too, I can pull that through Flex Check now.
Okay. I've done that before, and some of the case numbers, it's random how it's put in.
As long as they're more than 3 digits, if it's 2 digits, it's questionable and me and Holly have to email back and forth. But otherwise, if it's a 3 digit at the end of that case number, it'll pull up.
Okay, so 3 digits make sure it's 3 digits at the end of that case number that's on there. Or just, there has to be some sort of unique number. If there's a unique number tied to it, that's my number one thing. If I could tattoo that on my body, I got a lot of tattoos, but if I could tattoo, we need a unique identifier on my body, that would be great. Yeah, you have a question? Oh, yeah, sorry, your face looked like you were like, oh, okay, sorry. You have a very inquisitive face. I like it. Anybody else? Okay, great. That means that's good. Or you're just like, I can't believe she talked that long or talked about that so much. Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Rachel, in the time that's left, do you want to? And I also failed earlier to introduce Tailored Solutions. We have, if y'all would stand up. These are 3 of our, the people that work for Tailored Solutions. Who is the creator of Flex Check?
Yeah, so I wanted to go back to the order of protection question from this morning. I realized I actually was misunderstanding the question, and now that I actually understand the question that's coming in, I do have an answer.
We know it's not you.
That, well, and let me say this, the way I'm understanding the question is, we have, and it sounds like based on what we've gotten before, not a violation of an order of protection that's showing on a criminal history, but we are sometimes getting orders to remove actual orders of. So those are what's appearing in the OB file. That's where sorry, I was not understanding that was the question. So, and I have, Katie Chestnut is kind of she's our resident expert, and I don't see her in here right now.
Yeah, she'll be here at the next hour.
Yeah, because she's, okay. Well, this is perfect because we all have more questions. Ask Katie in the next hour when she comes up to talk to you. But so there is a process. The reason that our expungement unit is rejecting them is because it's long story short, it's going to the wrong place. So our expungement unit handles expungements that are on an individual's criminal history. When you've got an order of protection, obviously that is not appearing on the criminal history. That is something that is appearing within NCIC in what we call an order of protection file. And so that is why the expungement unit is sending back to you and saying this is civil, we can't remove it. It's because it doesn't actually live in the information that they've got access to and control. So, so that really, so I would say it's really a question for Katie, and I think she will tell you, that is something that the agency who entered that order of protection, they are the ones that have to remove that. I think that we may be in a position that if we received an order telling us to, we may be in a position to do that, but I will make sure that Katie gets that when she comes up here. But so I guess long story short, that's why our expungement unit is saying we can't remove it. It's because it doesn't live in the criminal history that they've got control over. I will let Katie get into the real nuances of the order of protection file, but the way that those are done, they are entered with an expiration date. They will naturally come out of the order of protection file at that expiration date. So we typically do not remove those. They come out at the expiration date. However, if a court orders them to be removed, they can be, but that's just a totally different process. So hopefully that answers the question for now with a little bit of, if you still don't totally know the answer, we're gonna let Dave cover that, but that's why our expungement unit can't do it.
Okay. Well, I think we'll have our last break. I guess will be a little early. Does anybody have any other questions for our unit, for expungements, dispositions, diversions? Okay, well, I guess we'll be back here at 3 o'clock for the final section, where we're going to have, this was, the Animal Abuse Registry, Fiscal Services, TIES, which is Katie, and Tennessee Public Correction.